Set your course for the Hoth system. General Veers, prepare your men. Admiral.
Greetings and hello there, everybody. It's me, your beloved Star Wars dad, Nooch Too Good, here today to talk about how to mod your Veers Imperial Troopers. Just your Veers Imperial Troopers. We're not going to get into the Iden faction here today. And who do I mean by the Veers Troopers? Let's start off right there. We're talking about General Veers. Everybody across this top row, Piet, Dark Trooper, Stark, and Gideon, and also Range Trooper. These are the primary Stormtroopers or primary Imperial Troopers, Stormtroopers. These are the primary Imperial Troopers that you're going to be using with Veers, with the General Veers lead in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. We'll talk about Moff Gideon and how he kind of peels off from the group eventually at some point down the road for you while you're playing the game too. So, hey, let's get it started right off the bat with actually not with General Veers, but let's take a look at General Veers' leader ability and why all this matters, why we talk about it, what really drives this team forward, and it is just this. Empire allies gain 30% offense. That is nice. Imperial Trooper allies gain 20 speed, great, and 10% turn meter whenever they gain a buff. That is what makes the world go round for the Imperial Troopers. This is what gets their turn meter train rolling. Every time they gain a buff, they gain 10% turn meter. If they get 2 buffs, they get 20% turn meter. This is what pushes the troopers ahead as a team and makes them really dominate in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Let's not look at Veers' mods first. Let's look at the most important character on the team with the most speed. Well, second most speed actually, but the guy that you want to have modded for speed that needs to be on this team, his name is Admiral Piet. You want to mod him for as much speed as possible. Any other primary or secondary mod, enhancement, whatever, any other mod thing you put on there is secondary. You see, I've got a defense a triangle on him. I think he'd probably be better with a crit damage or offense triangle, but I got 29 freaking speed on this thing, so I put it on Piet. 23 speed tenacity. I don't think tenacity is super great for him either, but the 23 speed fits there on a speed mod and on down the road. I just want as much. I can probably fix this one. It's got 4. I can roll a 5 on, not on this one. It's done. But you want as much speed as possible on Admiral Piet. You want him to go first. So if I look at the extra 20 speed I get from Veers, I actually have 368 speed on my Admiral Piet. So if I outspeed the other team with Piet, then we are off and running. And why is that? Because he starts with Imperial Ambition. All allies gain offense up for 2 turns. Whoa! What does that tell you? I immediately go with this. My entire team gains 10% turn meter right off the bat. Boom! We're all gaining turn meter right off the bat. I'm gonna place that right there. I put 3 stacks of inevitable failure on target other ally, and remove inevitable failure, blah, 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 blah. Inevitable failure. You gain 1 stack when you're using an ability or receiving damage from an enemy when defeated. You grant Piet the following bonuses based on the defeated unit stats. So I'm going to mark another unit here with inevitable failure for a minute. When they're defeated, if they've got 1 stack, I gain 5% max health on Piet on down the road until Piet becomes awesome. But there's also the Emperor's Trap on Piet. So he gets 60% counter chance. He gains 5% turn meter whenever another Empire ally takes damage. Piet is gaining even more turn meter with that. Whenever an Empire ally begins a turn or attacks out of turn, all Empire allies gain a stack of the Emperor's Trap until the start of the next enemy turn. Non-Empire's body, Emperor's Trap, plus 6% offense and potency per stack. You're going to find yourself stacking up Emperor's Trap a lot if you're taking a lot of turns in a row. You're going to you get 10 stacks, you got 60% offense potency on up the train. It's a big, fat, hairy deal, but Piet is the guy that really gets this team going with the speed on the team and that first use of Imperial Ambition to give everybody mods to move them forward. Let's talk about somebody else here. Let's talk about Dark Trooper. Dark Trooper is the guy. Dark Trooper is the guy that just does 90% of the damage on the team. And you're gonna want to mod him for offense mods. I took a look at swgoh.gg I took a look to see how all the top players are modding Dark Trooper. It is, everybody is using offense mods. Offense mods, and you do want speed on them, so you want to get as much speed as you can get on them. I've got 11 there. Defense, that is a horrible mod. Why do I have that? Oh, that's my... I thought I clicked on my triangle there. Thank you. Offense and offense. Offense and... or health and offense there. Offense, protection, offense. You can see I've got offense secondaries on all these wherever I can find them. Offense, offense down here. I don't have any offense on that one, but we're finding as much offense as we can get on Dark Trooper to make him as offensive as possible. And why is that? Well, his pneumatic punch is what does all the damage. Deal physical damage to target enemy once for each stack of Dark Trooper squad. This ability can't critically hit unless he has advantage. So you don't want to rely on critical damage for critical hits. You just want to rely on as much damage as possible. He starts off with 4 stacks, so he's going to do this 4 times. And let me tell you, boys and girls, this beats Galactic Legends. This thing kills everything. This pneumatic punch kills everything in sight. But there's more. There's even more to Dark Trooper. Deal physical. This is his AoE. He hits everything. Deal physical damage to all enemies. If he has 3 or more stacks of Dark Trooper squad, they all gain advantage for Imperial Remnant allies gain advantage for 2 turns. Otherwise, he gains 1 stack of Dark Trooper squad. If he has 3 or more, okay. So if he has under 3, he gains a stack of Dark Trooper squad and Imperial Remnant allies, which would only be Moff Gideon on this team, really. And maybe if you put Biker Scout in there, but, you know, they're going to gain advantage, and that's going to gain turn meter for that Imperial Remnant as well. Perfect soldiers. If you find yourself, if you click on the little arrow to the right of the screen and you find yourself where you're actually in a bad position as far as turn meter on your, as far as who goes next, or are your Imperial Troopers going next, or is the enemy going next, you can just pop this a little bit here. Imperial Trooper allies gain 10% turn meter for each stack of Dark Trooper squad the Dark Trooper has. If he's got 4 stacks, they're all going to gain 40% turn meter, your entire team. If he's got 3 stacks, 30% turn meter on down the road. But there's more. Imperial Remnant allies, if he has more than 2 Imperial Remnant allies, so you're giving even more turn meter to Imperial Remnant allies, which again is pretty much just Gideon in this case. So, and there's all this on here as well. That doesn't really impact his, man, I thought I had defense there. So that's how you're going to mod Dark Trooper. Now, I'm going to get to Veers and Stark here, and we're going to be in a do as I say and not as I do mode here, okay? I just have some kind of extra health mods on these guys. I haven't really taken a lot of effort to get a ton of great mods on my Veers and my Stark, just because they're kind of along for the ride. See, they're offense and 11 speed, defense and just there for the speed, 13 speed, 14. I haven't done a lot here. 20 speed is a nice little square. I got a lot of nice squares. So, but this puts on them, you want to get, generally Veers is modded for either speed or offense / crit damage. Speed or offense / crit damage. Or you can do both. You do speed with a bunch of offense on him. I do the health on there because I kind of want to make sure he's staying alive. You know, in a lot of these modes, if he just can stay alive long, because he's pretty squishy. He does not have a lot of health and protection. Right here, it's 100,000, 108,000. He really dies pretty easily. Not much defense out there. So I just try to keep him alive, and I've got a lot of other places to put my speed and offense mods and crit damage mods, so I don't do that. But if you can get a speed set on Veers or a crit damage set on Veers, that's really what you want to do. I'm doing as much damage with this, and here he's got a 70% chance to grant speed up for 2 turns to himself and a random Imperial Trooper ally. Well, when he does that, guess what that is? 10% turn meter for each of them. This one's going to do ability block for 1 turn, so you might even consider potency on Veers just to land that ability block. It's really nice when it lands for sure. Everybody is assisting, so you're getting a lot more damage there. Here's his leader ability as well. And whenever, so this kind of feeds into the turn meter train as well. Whenever an enemy is defeated while Veers is active, everybody gains offense up, so that's 10% turn meter, and they gain 50% turn meter, so that's 50% turn meter, and they recover 10% protection. That's his Zeta, and they've all got more critical chance while he's alive too. So Veers, really ideally, speed and offense, maybe some potency, or offense or crit damage, and with also some offense or potency in there as well for Veers. Same thing for Stark. You know what? Before we got Piet, and before we got Piet at his massive amounts of speed, Stark was actually the guy that drove this engine, and you wanted to make Stark as fast as possible. Now you got Piet, who's much faster than Stark at a base speed, so you go to Piet with all the speed mods. But if you can mod Stark for speed and or offense, you'll be in really good shape there. Let's take a look at what Stark does for your team. With this ability, Empire allies gain critical chance up and critical damage up for 2 turns, and Stark gains 5% turn meter for each Empire ally and each rebel enemy. What does critical chance up, critical damage up for 3 turns mean? 20% turn meter on your whole team. So when we used to do that, we used to have Stark with as much speed as possible. He would go first on the team, he would do this ability, boom, everybody gets 20% turn meter, and then you were off to the races. It's just that Stark's base speed is lower than Piet's, so now we get it over to Piet, and he gets that turn meter train going instead. Over here is defense down, doing double damage. This is an AoE with 50% chance to stagger everybody and dealing more damage. Over here, he's just recovering health and giving armor penetration to Imperial Trooper allies, which is not such a bad thing, having armor penetration on your team. But again, pretty much just speed here. You can also go with offense here. He's not really the speed maven that he was previously, but you know what? If you keep... I would recommend this on all Imperial Troopers. Always check and see where your turn meter is. Keep your turn meter, the meter off to the side. Use that religiously when you go with Imperial Troopers, so you can see that if all your Imperial Troopers are already loaded up and they're getting the next turns, you can save an ability like scan all wavelengths for later. You can save an ability like Perfect Soldiers for later. If you want to add 30-40% turn meter with Perfect Soldiers, or you want to add 20% turn meter with scan all wavelengths, but you've already got all your Imperial Troopers already in line to take turns, maybe just save this. Save scan all wavelengths for later. Think about that while you're playing with them. How about Moff Gideon? Well, here's the thing. As you move forward in the game, Moff Gideon becomes part of the Gidme team, or even an Imperial Trooper. Or now we've got Dark Trooper. We got Dark Trooper Gideon. Is it Dark Trooper? Dark Armor? I don't know. I get it. Is he on here? Let me see here. I'm forgetting the name of the new Gideon, and he's not. Of course he's not. Of course he's not. I'm gonna look it up. It's the... Oh, man. Old man brain kicks in, and we've got... It is... Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. I had it right. And I was questioning myself. What I should learn from this is never question Nooch when he says things. Moff Gideon. So Moff Gideon actually has higher base speed than Piet. Higher base speed than Piet. He's one of the fastest base speed characters in the game. But later on down the road, he peels off. He goes under Padme. He goes with Dark Trooper Moff Gideon if you're really end game. But with Padme, what happens is he does this control the situation, which we'll talk about a little bit more, and all support units gain 100% protection up. And with Padme, when they gain protection up and it's their turn, boom, they gain stacks of courage for that, and they do a truckload more damage. So he goes under Padme for that team. But what happens with this? Everybody assists. All Imperial Trooper allies assist. All units lose 100% turn meter. I mean, everybody on the board loses 100% turn meter, which can't be resisted. Allies gain 25% turn meter. So your ally group is going to have a 25% turn meter advantage here. Tank allies taunt for 2 turns. That means they're going to gain, if you have a tank in there, they're going to gain 10% turn meter under Veers. I don't really have a lot of tanks here to go with Veers, but you know what I'm saying. Attacker allies gain 50% offense, and support allies gain 100% protection up. It's all adding turn meter, and he's really, he also does, where is it here? It's under here, right? Now, where is the, Know your adversaries. So he gives everybody 50% less offense, 25% critical chance. Where they? Oh, subversive. That's what I was looking for. Subversive volley. When he gains 4 stacks of insight, then he can daze the entire other team as well. Which, what does that do? That contributes to your Imperial Trooper turn meter as well. I really like Moff Gideon early on my Imperial Trooper team, but as you move forward and you get Padme, yeah, then he becomes, you want to put him on that Gidme team, we call that, or Zareth coined it's not my idea. Gidme team as it's out there with as much speed as possible on Gid. Really, it's just all about speed. Maybe some potency to land those dazes, but it's all speed. It's all speed. I don't really have that much speed on him, to be honest, but the more speed you have on him, the better off you're going to be. That was a 25 speed there at the end. So Gideon is your next one. Let's take a look at our final piece here. So when Gideon rotates out, you're going to move Range Trooper in, or some people will move Range Trooper in for Stark as well. Range Trooper does a lot of great things for your team. I've got him modded for speed and offense, and I think I've got some extra. I've got protection, offense down here. You want him to have offense and speed is really where you want him to be. I looked it up. It's about 50-50 people modding him for speed and offense, or just straight offense and offense, or crit damage and offense. It goes with his abilities. He's really driving that turn meter on the team as well. Deal physical damage to target enemy. This attack deals 30% more damage if he is buffed. Well, he's going to be buffed because we're throwing buffs everywhere, right? All Imperial Trooper, all Empire allies gain protection up for 3 turns. All Imperial Trooper allies recover 30% protection and gain retribution, 10% turn meter. Then another random ally assists, and Range Trooper assists them. Plus, Range Trooper has plus 70% tenacity while he is buffed. While he's active, Imperial Trooper's allies have 50% chance to call another buffed Imperial Trooper ally to assist when they use an ability during their turn, dealing 20% less damage. So, speed and offense, or offense and offense, is what you're going to want for Range Trooper if he's on your team. He is a powerful ally, much like the Force. Powerful ally. Anyway, that's how you're going to mod your Imperial Troopers, folks. Let me know if this has helped you today. We're going to come out with more of these videos in the near future, helping you to mod your teams, your characters that we're telling you to farm these characters. Let's tell you how to mod them. Hopefully this helps. I will talk to you soon. Always remember, Nooch too good.